In this video, I'm going to break down my top 5 Star Wars games of all time. Hey guys, Rich from Richmond Gaming. Hope everyone is doing fantastically well, and we are carrying on our Star Wars week. And I did say that not everything was going to be Shatterpoint based, so in this video I'm going to be breaking down for you my top 5 Star Wars games of all time. Now they are a complete mix of different styles of games. Some of them are board games, some of them are card games. There's a little sneaky one in there that you may not be expecting as well. But I've loved playing Star Wars games ever since I was a kid. I've played so many of them, and it was so difficult to actually whittle it down to my top 5. There's some in here that you may be aware of. There's some that I think have gone under the radar a little bit because they've been overshadowed by other games that were released at the same time. There's one of my favourite board games of all time ever in here as well. So yeah, without further ado, let's jump in to the list. So coming in at number 5 is, I think, the newest game in this entire list, released less than 12 months ago. It's a Star Wars card game, but it may not be the one that you are thinking of. It is Star Wars the deck building game. Now this was released a few months, maybe 4 or 5 months or half a year at the most, before Star Wars Unlimited, kind of the other big or the big Star Wars game that was released, Star Wars card-based game that was released earlier this year. And I do think Star Wars Unlimited has overshadowed Star Wars the deck building game quite a bit. Now, why do I like this game, and why is it different from other deck building games out there? Well, or at least different to Star Wars Unlimited. Well, for me, the big difference is that everything you need to play the game, your entire deck and everything, is in this box. There are no packs to buy or anything like that. I do hope they release some packs, but the cards themselves, the way it works is each player gets a starter hand of 10 cards. You can either be the Rebels, as you can see the cards on the bottom there. They've got, you know, the Rebel Troopers, Luke Skywalker, or you can be the Empire, Darth Vader, Boba Fett. But then you also have these generic cards as well. And it works very differently to other deck building games that I've played, in that you don't build your deck before you turn up to the game. You build your deck during the game, and you're competing against your opponents for cards and resources that are in the central of, or the center of the board. So you can see here I am the Empire player. These are my 10 starting cards. Now these allow me to generate resources. They give me some attack power, and then we also have this force tracker along the side, and the player who has the force, as you can see there, when I've got the force, I start my turn with 1 extra resource. Now on these cards in the middle of the board here, I can use my characters. So I've got my Stormtrooper here that can do 2 damage. I've got another Stormtrooper here. So I could take these 2 cards and I can use them to actually destroy my opponent's X-Wing. Now my opponent can buy this card, and the reason it's facing towards them is that it is a card for the Rebels. You can see there it's a red card, it's got the Rebel thing on it, so they can buy this card using their resources. Now the resources are that little 1 symbol there that you can see. So if they had 3 resources, they can buy that, but I can choose to destroy it, and it's going to grant me, you can see there it says reward, gain 3 resources. If I zoom in here ever so slightly, you also have neutral cards. Now neutral cards can't be destroyed. You can barter them off the board, but they can't be destroyed, but they can be bought by anybody. Now the idea of the game is you start out and you have a number of bases. So you start out with a very basic game. So in this case, it's Lothal. And for these guys, it's Dantooine, but you have a selection of, I think it's 10 in total that you can choose. Each of them has its own unique special ability that it can do, and it's basically first to 5, or first to, I think it's first to 5, first to destroy 5 of your opponent's bases. I mean, and that number can go up and down. So I think in the starter game you play first to 3, but you can add and remove as many of those that you want in. It's such an easy game to learn and pick up, as you can see here. It is on TTS. Now, I do own this game. I own all of these games that I'm going through in physical form. As I mentioned in a previous video, I am packing to move at the moment, and I've been packing away all of my board games. So this, along with all the other board games that I go through in this video, are currently packed away. But I would highly recommend going and checking this game out. If, like me, you're not a fan of the trading card games, I've been playing a lot of trading card games, in particular Lorcana, and I did also pick up Star Wars Unlimited as well. And the thing I've realised that I really don't like about them is I don't like the randomness. I really, really do not like the randomness. I like the fact that in this game, everything I need is there. It's a level playing field. Somebody can't go out there and spend hundreds and hundreds, if not sometimes thousands of dollars to get the best cards possible. They have what they have, and it's a really in the moment. You have less time to think about the deck that you want to build. You don't always get to build the deck that you want to build, because guess what? You may really want Darth Vader, and you may buy something during your turn. Darth Vader pops out. You don't have enough resources to be able to buy him anymore. And then it becomes your opponent's turn, and they have enough firepower to be able to take him off the board, and they gain the reward for taking him out. So it's a really dynamic game. It's fairly cheap to pick up. There'll be a link down in the description below. It is an affiliate link. All of these will be affiliate links, but there will be a link down in the description below if you do want to pick it up. But even if you want to just check it out on TTS, there's a great mod. This mod that I've been using is absolutely fantastic, and I would highly, highly recommend checking it out if you haven't done already. Okay then, guys, coming in at number 4 is that aforementioned board game that I mentioned earlier. Maybe my favourite board game of all time, and I've played a lot over my 40 years on this earth, and it is Star Wars Outer Rim. This game, guys, is absolutely fantastic. It pulls on my heartstrings. You're playing as the scum and villainy, if you like, of the Star Wars universe, obviously set in the Outer Rim, the lawlessness that happens within there. And earlier, I think last year, we did also get a really good expansion, the Unfinished Business, which adds some additional gameplay in there as well. Now, in Outer Rim, you get to choose one of your characters. You've got people like Lando Calrissian. We've got Han Solo in there as well. Bosk, one of my favourites. He's always the one that I try and go for. IG-88. Boba Fett's in there as well. Ketsu Onyo, Dr. Aphra, and Jyn Erso as well. And you basically have to take on the role of either a smuggler, where you will be getting these cargo cards, and you will have to complete what it says on there. So you'll see there that it'll have a destination and it will give you a reward. You can also take on the role of a bounty hunter, where you will have to go and find certain characters. You can see on this card here, we need to find Saw Gerrera. And again, you'll have options. You can either eliminate them, so there's some combat in here as well. It is dice-based combat. There's both ground combat and also space combat as well, that's intermingled really, really well into the game. But yeah, you defeat Saw Gerrera. If you eliminate him, you're going to get some fame and you're going to get some credit, but you can also capture him to get even more. So you need to take him to Lothal, and you'll see you get Imperial reputation. You have a ship as well, so everybody starts out with the choice of which ship they want to go for. For some reason it's not on here, but your ship has its own stats. It has space in there for some cargo, for some mods, for some crew. And as you upgrade your ships, so you'll see these ship cards here. You get cards like a heavy duty lifter. You can see there it increases what you get. You've got a light freighter there, so the YV666. But you can even get cards that give you the likes of, there we go, Slave 1. We get the Millennium Falcon in there as well. And then you've got this reputation tracker. So as you interact with the various factions, so you've got the Hutts, you've got the Syndicate, you've got the Empire, and you've got the Rebels. Now, your tracker will move up and down depending on your reputation with them, and that will determine what happens when you encounter them in space. So as you move your tracker along, you may find that you are on the same space as this rebel patrol. So depending on whether you're neutral, depending on whether you're allied, or depending whether you're hostile, will determine whether you can pass, whether you need to stop, or indeed if they are going to attack you. And again, defeating these will give you credits as well, and these also get upgraded. So you can see here that these start to go higher and higher in what they can do, to the point where you get them where they can't be destroyed, so they get very, very offensive. Unfinished business adds in more locations, it adds in some additional ships, it adds in some additional characters, and it also adds in some of these different instant cards as well that happen during the game. The replayability in this game is insane. There's so many different ways that you can win the game. It's for 1 to 6 players, which is really nice because there is a solo mode and you can have up to 5 friends playing at the same time. If you haven't checked this one out, guys, I would highly recommend it. I can say it's one of my favorite, if not my favorite board game of all time. I absolutely love it. If you haven't checked this out, guys, I would highly recommend it. It's one of my, as I say, favorite games, if not my favorite board game of all time, and that Unfinished Business expansion makes it that much better. Okay, guys, coming in at number 3 is the only game on this list that is not actually a board game, a card game, or indeed a tabletop miniatures game, but I had to put it in here, and I think I can get away with it because of what it's based on. It is the Knights of the Old Republic. Now, this game was released in 2003, and I remember playing this game when it was first released, and it absolutely blew me away. Now, for anyone that's not aware of what this game is, it's a role-playing game, so it's a PC-based. It's on pretty much every console now. I think you can even play it on your iPad and your iPhone and things like that. But it's a role-playing game, traditional role-playing game, but it uses the D20 system and is based on the Wizards of the Coast game. The Star Wars role-playing game, basically. So it's taking that sort of Dungeons and Dragons-esque type system. You're obviously aware of Dungeons and Dragons, and putting it into a game format. So when you're rolling to, when you're shooting somebody and things like that, in the background, essentially, the game is rolling a die to determine whether you get a critical hit, whether you miss, or whether you just hit. Now, even, sort of 21 years on, this game for me still holds up. And yes, the graphics are a little bit shoddy, to say the least, but there have been updated versions of it. There's only really 3 classes to choose from. You've got Scoundrel, you've got Soldier, and I always forget what and Scout as well. So Scoundrel, Soldier, and Scout, and then male or female versions. But the male and female versions do dictate the way in which people interact with you. The game is so deep, and you know, you're not going to see any of your Star Wars favorites in this game. You know, there's going to be there's no Luke, there's no Han, there's no Clone War stuff. This game's set about 4,000 years, I think, before A New Hope. You know, so what, 3,950 years before the Clone War stuff. But it is an absolutely amazing game. It's a game I can go back to and play through probably every 3 years or so since its release. I always try something a little bit different. And as I say, even though it's a little bit lackluster when it comes to graphics, the gameplay still absolutely holds up. And look, even though you don't get characters, as I mentioned, like Darth Vader and the Emperor and Yoda, who doesn't like themselves some Vandar? He is one creepy looking guy. Okay guys, coming in at number 2, and I would say just missing out on the top spot, but for me, the gap between these two games is still huge in terms of my love for them. I definitely play this game. Right now, I play this game more than the number 1 spot, purely because it's more accessible. But coming in at number 2, it is going to be Star Wars Shatterpoint. Look, we cover this game in huge detail on this channel. And yes, I have some gripes about it. I think a lot of my problems, and I speak to Quinn about this quite a bit, I think a lot of my problems with this game are often my own doing. I will play the new things that come out to death on TTS before they're even released. And then by the time they're released, I've almost lost interest in them. You know, at some points I was playing 2, 3, 4, 5 games of Shatterpoint in a single day. And because everything is quite limited at the moment, you can get a bit of fatigue with that. But putting that to one side, Star Wars Shatterpoint for me, I really, really do like this game. I've discovered over years of playing board games that, of playing tabletop miniatures games, that the skirmish style game, you know, the smaller number of models on the smaller map, is definitely my preference rather than the bigger games. You know, compare it to its kind of what this succeeded, which is, you know, Star Wars Legion, where it's not quite rank and file or anything like that, but it's bigger, more epic games in the vein of sort of Warhammer 40k and things like that. I very much prefer the gaming system that is more of the skirmish base, and I do think for the most part AMG have really knocked it out of the park with Star Wars Shatterpoint. The quality of the miniatures is absolutely unbelievable. You know, you compare them to Star Wars Legion, for example, and they are an absolute world apart. For me, in the way that they, not only the quality of the sculpt, but the proportions are all right. They're not sort of heroic models with big heads and things like that. And, you know, these newer models, I mean, I've got these guys on my desk at the moment. I'm currently painting up the Bad Batch. I had the airbrush out last night and was painting through them. They are just absolutely amazing. And they are releasing so many characters so quickly for it. We're about to get our 3rd mission pack, which is really going to mix things up. That's the one thing I would say I would like them to do a little bit more of, is maybe go back and take a look at that original mission pack and maybe make a couple of changes to it. But get more mission packs out there as well would be really, really nice. But guys, Star Wars Shatterpoint, as you know, you're probably watching this video because you came to my channel because of Star Wars Shatterpoint. We've covered it from day one. We've always been really, really excited about it, and our interest and our excitement in the game hasn't really decreased too much. Yes, it peaks and troughs and things like that, but it's an absolutely amazing game. And if you haven't tried it out and you like Star Wars and you like skirmish games, even if you don't like skirmish games, if you like Star Wars, go and check it out. It's really, really good. Okay, guys, so coming in at number one is going to be another Star Wars miniatures based game for the most part, but it's definitely my favourite Star Wars game I've ever played. I was late to this game. I don't know when it was originally released. I think it was like the early 2010s, something like that. And I was late to it, but I have eventually, with the exception of some maps, being able to pick up absolutely everything for this game. It's in a bit of a weird place at the moment. It's a game by FFG. I mean, look, most of these games are by FFG, with the exception of but most Star Wars games actually are by FFG. But it is Imperial Assault. Now, Imperial Assault is in the version of the game that I have played, or the version of the game that it makes it number one for me, is not the skirmish mode where you play against each other. It's the campaign mode. That's the game that I really like, and I think really the game that it was originally based around. So for anyone that doesn't know what it is, the version of the game that I'm putting at number one here, you choose your hero. Your hero has stats, it has cards, it has weapons and things like that, and you work your way through a campaign. Now, it did say on the box there it's 2 to 5 players. That's 4 players playing, or up to 4 players playing as the heroes, and then 1 player almost acting as like the dungeon master. But in this game, they actually have a role to play, because they're going to take on the role of the Empire, or whatever else is the big bad of the campaign itself. It's tile based, so you get something like 70 tiles in the core box. There's a huge mix of characters. In the boxes themselves, you also then get tokens to represent other characters that are not included. So, whilst there's some miniatures, there could also be some tokens on there as well. But it's just such a good game. And there is a lot of expansions for this game. There are 6 big box expansions. You've got Twin Shadows, Return to Hoth, The Bespin Gambit, Jabba's Realm, Tyrants of Lothal, and then the Heart of the Empire. Tyrants of Lothal, obviously, being my favourite there, based around the Rebels. Or when I say Rebels, Star Wars Rebels, the animated show, and that was the last release, I believe, that came out. But they include lots of new characters, but also intermingled with all your old favourite characters as well. Now, this is very much set post Clone Wars era, so everything in here is kind of going to be the original Star Wars, as I say, with the exception of the Tyrants of Lothal, which obviously has the Star Wars Rebels characters in there as well. But each of these expansions brings new miniatures, it brings new campaigns, new weapons and cards that you can include, new upgrades, new baddies, new goodies or heroes and villains, plus a whole bunch of scum and villainy characters in there as well. We even have a Rancor. In Jabba's realm, you get a Rancor. Come on, guys. AMG, Shatterpoint. If Imperial Assault could do it, give us a Rancor for Shatterpoint. That would just be so good. But then you get, I mentioned that you get those little tokens in the game, so a certain number of characters in each of the expansions will be represented by tokens, but for each and every one of those tokens, you can also buy a corresponding hero and villain expansion pack. So you've got your generic guys in there, your fleet troopers, your rebel saboteurs, your ISB agents, but then you do also have your sort of original trilogy characters, your Luke Skywalkers, your Han Solos. There is an Alliance smuggler in there. Now, this game was released before Andor came out. In my mind, he's kind of an Andor-esque type character. You've then got all your Empire characters. So, you've got Palpatine, you've got the Grand Inquisitor, you've got Thrawn, and then you've got some brand new characters as well. So people like Agent Blaze, Kane Samos. You also get a number of vehicles in this game as well. So ATSTs as well that are on the board that are not quite to scale, but they still work absolutely fine. You may be looking and going, okay, well, where's Darth Vader in this? You actually get a version of Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, but it's more farm boy Luke Skywalker than Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker in the original core box, or in the first core box. You then got all your scum and villainy packs. So you've got your Dengar, your Bosk, your Greedo. You've got IG-88 Hondos in there as well. You've got a big Bantha guy. You've also got Jabba the Hutt. And you do have a scum and villainy version of Maul. So after he becomes, or after he denounces the Sith. And then, as I mentioned, you also then have the full Ghost Crew. And what I really, really like about these expansions are they are not just replacing the tokens that you get in the board games. Each of the packs brings something completely new with them as well. So if we take a look at this Obi-Wan Kenobi Jedi Knight here, so you're going to get a couple of different cards for him. You're also going to get his miniature, but then on top of that, you're going to get some different cards. So for Obi-Wan Kenobi, for example, every character gets a skirmish map set up. So they get an A and B skirmish map that you can play. Obi-Wan Kenobi brings some additional side missions that can be included in the deck. So during your campaign, you can actually, find and have Obi-Wan Kenobi fighting for you. They may bring some additional Empire agenda cards. They may bring some more command cards for the skirmish game. They may bring additional rewards. So in this one, we've got a brand new lightsaber that can be equipped by people as well. So it isn't just the miniatures. For every miniature that comes along, there's usually at least one additional scenario they bring along. They may bring along some side missions. And as I say, even things like rewards and bounties and things like that as well. So, guys, I really, really love Imperial Assault. It's a game that once I've moved and I've got the space proper to set it up and have it there, it's going to be a game that I'm playing a lot. There are lots of options for this game, as I mentioned. You've got the skirmish mode. I've never really played the skirmish modes. I've never really played the 1v1s where you build an army and battle each other. For me, I much prefer the narrative. Now, what's really good about this is there is an official companion. So there's an official companion app that comes alongside this game, but it is a different campaign to what is in the box themselves. So the app takes over the role of the Empire. It's on PC, Apple, Google Play stores, all those sorts of things. It's free to download. There may be some expansions that you can buy, but it is a different scenario. Now, what somebody has done, and again, I'll leave a link down in the description below. It is in the channel over on the Discord. Somebody has built a mod that can be used to play through the main campaign, completely, fan built. It's really, really good. I'd highly recommend going and checking that out if you do want to play this game solo. Again, you can buy the packs. They are still printing them. And they are still available brand new to buy. There's lots and lots of availability. But if you did want to go and check it out, guys, it is also on TTS as well. But yeah, I would highly, highly recommend Imperial Assault. The miniatures, they're not as good as Shatterpoint, right? They're older. They're all, with the exception of some of the big models, like the Rancor and the ATST and things like that. They're all single mold sculpts, so they're never going to be as good, but they're not bad, right? They're not bad at all. But there we go, guys. They are my 5 favourite Star Wars games of all time. Let me know down in the comment section below what you think. I imagine this is going to be quite a polarising list. Are there any absolute gems that you think I've missed? Let me know. I also do want to give a shout out to the original Star Wars miniatures game, or maybe not the original, but the one before Imperial Assault. You can still buy those minis online in places. It was a little bit more, it was very much more of an RPG type game. You know, the minis were not very good quality at all. But I did have some fun playing that when I was younger. But yeah, let me know in the comment section below, what is your favourite Star Wars game of all time? Could be a card game, could be a board game, could be an RPG game, it could be a tabletop miniatures game. Maybe Star Wars Legion is your favourite Star Wars game of all time, and that's absolutely fine. Opinions are like arseholes. Everybody has one. Guys, keep an eye out for the rest of the week. We're going to have Star Wars themed videos coming out every single day, culminating in our big breakdown on May the 4th, on this coming Saturday. I've already mentioned it's going to be with Quinn. I think it's going to be one of the most heated debates that we've ever had on this channel. If for no other reason, I'm 40 and he's about 12. I think he's about 24. So we were born at very, very different times in the sort of Star Wars universe, if you like. And the things that I like are not necessarily all the things that he likes. We do agree on a lot of things as well, though, but I think when it comes to some of the very old things and then some of the slightly newer things than that, we are going to disagree quite heavily on. But make sure you check us out every single week, every single day this week. We're going to have different Star Wars videos for you. Guys, I want to give a huge shout out to all of our Patreons. Thank you so much for all of your support. And if you do want to support us on Patreon, you can do so from as little as £1 a month. There'll be a link down in the description below. And you can also become a YouTube member now as well. But you don't need to do either of those things to support us on the channel. Just simply interacting, liking, commenting, subscribing, letting me know down in the comment section below which is your favourite Star Wars game of all time. And yeah, keep an eye, because we are going to be doing some gameplay over this. One of the videos is going to be some gameplay video over this week, so make sure you check those out as well. But yeah, let me know in the comment section below. Really intrigued, and if there's games that you think I haven't played, guys, I really want to know about them. Don't care how old they are, how new they are. Let me know. Are there some hidden little gems, some solo games, some, you know, obscure ones that rarely saw the light of day? Let me know, because I'd love to check those out as well. Guys, check out the Discord. It's where we have all of our information. There's almost 1,000 of you over there now as well. It's a great space where we talk about all sorts of things, Star Wars, plus a whole bunch of other things as well. So go and check that out. And as always, guys, it leaves me with just enough time to say stay well, keep safe, and until next time, may the Force be with you.